Good morning, everybody. Racing down in the Western Cape today at Durbanville. And I've already mentioned on our Take a Bet with Tab initiative that it's very much the BB down there, the Bourts Bounce, which is fantastic. Big fields, spring has sprung, and I'm expecting a good turnover on the totalizator today as well. But it does look pretty competitive. Big fields and very nice racing, some good horses. Good to see some nice horses returning to the track. In particular, I'm looking forward to seeing the return of Trip of Fortune, who I've always felt is a very useful horse. So let's get straight into it, shall I? There's a lot to get through. It's just me flying solo, so I'm going to share the screen, get straight into it. Won't dwell too much in the early races because there are some first timers, so I would certainly suggest you have a look at the betting. You can see in the first race the money for number 8, Majestic Queen, for example. So let's get into it. I'll mention as we go, the scratchings in the first race. All of 12, 13, and 15 have come out. So if I go a little bit further down, you should see confirmation of that. Well, they haven't actually updated it, but 12, 13, and 15. They've got 15 as the scratching, but 12 and 13 have been updated. So if you are going to be doing a buy pot, well, that starts in the second race anyway. So the first race is really just for folks to catch swingers, trifectas, and maybe have yourself a bet. But of significance, the money for Andre Nell's at number 8, Majestic Queen. There's money for Andre Nell's runner in the first leg of the PA, but this is back from 20 to 1 into 7 to 2, touched 3 to 1 at one stage. Daughter of Corari out of a Duwali mare for Sabine Plattner, Pierre Cornet, Orpha rides. Number 7, Gimmy's Lassie, does set a standard. That is the Kaya Stables owned horse. This one trained by Candice Bass Robinson, has had 2 good seconds. Keegan DeMello, of course, who rides for Lady Laidlaw, keeps the ride. But no doubt that the interesting move is for the first time, number 8, Majestic Queen. So keep an eye on that. We're racing at Durbanville. Obviously, the draw is significant. 7, Gimmy's Lassie, drawn okay at 7, Majestic Queen next door at 8. And that's the way the first race pans out. Pretty trappy, fortunately for punters, not part of the exotics. Let's move on to race 2, where number 2, Baratheon, is the favourite at 15 to 10. It was unlucky last time I backed it. It was a winner everywhere except for the line, where he was just nabbed late on by 2 fast closers, including the winner, Top Quality. Leuven Cotra's back on board and probably sets the standard here. This is going to be the first leg of the bipod. Whether you can bank, will you bank a number 2 Baratheon? Well, Baratheon, perhaps. The scratching in this race, by the way, is number 4 Service Ace. I think you've got to respect number 5 Scalini. Simonga Kamalo rides. That horse had run in the Cape Sales feature prior to that and shed his maiden certificate quite nicely. He's carrying 57 kilograms, so he's getting 3 kilograms from the older horse, and that's probably the obvious danger. Number 6, Light Speed, hasn't done much wrong. He hasn't run for 74 days. He beat Port Louis, and he's got the worst of the draw compared to the 2. But it's a small field, and he should make his presence felt. So for bipod players, I think my first choice would be the 2. But if you don't like the 2, then you've got to put a few in here. Certainly the Snaith run is the 6, Light Speed, and perhaps number 7, 2, The Moon and Back, who is owned by Greg Bourts on a day where he can be extremely proud of what's happening in Cape Racing and Durbanville. Let's move on to race 3, opening leg of the place accumulator. Well, this is where I'll Take a Bet will feature today. So that video will be up later on. There'll be a QR code to go with that. Don't forget to support the tote. If you like our PA, put that on. You can always use it as a skeleton and do your own. But I think it is a day of interesting racing. Now, here's the money for number 3, Shotgun Willie. Be interesting to see how the money comes and goes for the Andre Nell runner in the first race, because this will refer and reference to how we expect number 3, Shotgun Willie, to go in the opening leg of the PA. He's the son of William Longsword out of a Giant Causeway mare. So in time to come, I think they'll need a bit of a trip, certainly being out of a Daughter of Giant's Causeway. But I think you've got to respect, first of all, the drawn nicely at 3, and obviously the money for number 3, Shotgun Willie. So I have put it in my PA. But the horse that I like is number 5, Tough Terrain. He's slowly getting the hang of things. He's a son of Quarari himself, out of a trippy mare, drawn okay at 5. Not the world's greatest debut, but he quickly put that behind him. And it was at Durbanville, so he's got a little bit of experience and improved to be running on just off the pace behind King Mo last time. I think with that run under his belt, Keegan de Melo picking up the ride. His second run gelded. I'm expecting big improvements. So number 5, Tough Terrain, in the opening leg of the PA. Got to respect number 4, Not in Doubt. He beat him behind King Mo last time and is actually drawn on his inside. And there's been a touch of support for him, which is understandable. So number 4, Not in Doubt, not without a chance. Beyond that, well, it's a real swirl of it. 12, Release Me, ran a very good race on debut, ran second to Castle Time, but he was not fancied, and he's drawn 12 here. So I'm going to look elsewhere for PA horses, but it wouldn't surprise me, being a son of master of my fate, if he did run well again. But he's going to have to come from some way off them, I would think, being drawn that wide around this Durbanville 1250. So the take on the first race, respect the money for the 2, but my form runner would be 5, Tough Terrain. If those 2 are to fluff their lines, well, then probably number 4 to pick up the pieces, Not in Doubt, but not an impossibility that we begin with a train smash of a result, because there's a couple of long shot supported horses that have been tickled up in the betting market. Let's move on to race 4. By the way, in that race, number 9, Bon Voyage, Bullet, and Charlie Malone are all scratched. So that's why I didn't mention them, obviously. Let's move on to race 4. This is going to be the opening leg of the pick 6. And here, number 8, Max the Otter, is a very important scratching, because I would have given him a big chance. So number 8 is out. Let's have a look at the betting. Number 2, Kingdom of Heaven, is beautifully bred, of course, prolific family. This, the Drakenstein stud family, the mother, Biblical Susan, we know well. Nick Johnson, though, owns this one. And he's a son of Dynasty, so he might need a bit of time to come right. But it's such a good family and drawn 2 that it's not without a chance if other horses are to fluff their lines. 3, Orzenker, is a son of Elusive Fort, who improved dramatically at the second time of asking. He sets a standard, but interesting that he'd gone off at 33 to 1 and 40 to 1 in his first 2 starts. He wasn't exactly expected to run well, and did so. He's got Tamunga Kamalo on. He's drawn 3, probably the horse to beat, but again, a pretty competitive race. The horse that also has form but is drawn poorly is 13, Master Josh. He's a son of Pomodoro. He's out to 7 to 1. He's now been back into 9 to 2. He's run 6th, 3rd, and 2nd. The only negative about him is that he's got that draw of 13 to overcome. But if he is able to do that, he's sure to be running on, and not without a chance of getting into the place accumulator. The only other horse I put in my own PA is number 5, Fury Nocturne, who ran behind Trompy on debut and then ran okay at Durbanville twice. So he's got the Durbanville experience. I like the booking of JP Van der Merwe. Of course, Greg Sheen no longer with us. He's gone off to the UK to seek, in the terms of the UK, very much greener pastures. So we hope he does well. But anyway, JP's riding this horse, second run gelded. He's a What a Winter out of a Dynasty mare, and he certainly, from a decent enough draw of 5, could run okay. Trappy little second race, I thought, in the PA, because if number 3, Orson Kerr, doesn't deliver, it has an open look about it, with 13, Master Josh, the other form horse, being so poorly drawn. Let's move on to race 5. Sure, this is a tough race. It's going to be the first leg of the first jackpot. 2 scratchings here. They've got just the 1, but I think there's an updated horse scratch. Let me just check, or maybe that's another race. That's probably a later race. Let me just check. Yeah, just the 1 scratching, which is number 8, Song. So I think that's been sold without prior engagement. I thought this was a very open race. Oddly enough, my value play in the race is actually number 1, Costa Esmeralda, who's beautifully related. She's a daughter of Flower Alley, but she's from the Marinaresco and Marina family. So she's only had the 1 win. She's obviously not in Marinaresco or Marina's league, but she's only carrying 54.5 kilograms here. And she benefits from a one draw. Once or twice she's been poorly drawn. A penultimate start, for example, she was drawn 9 out of 10. So I think she'll go a little bit better in an open race from a much better draw. So she's probably my value play. Certainly when she was at 16 to 1. She looked like a nice each-way bet. But the truth of the matter is that anything could win here, really. 2 quick steps probably okay as well. She's got 57 kilograms to carry. She's steady in the market. She's drawn 2. She's got Keegan DeMela. 3 Beneath the Moon. All of these horses are not without a chance. 4 Enchanted Creek, who, yes, is 6, but probably when I studied, had the most consistent form. And although she's a 6-year-old mare, she's been running pretty honestly. 5 Love is a Rose, got to have a chance. 6 Call It Fate is a year older than her, but it receives 1.5 kilograms, so not without a chance. 7 Lucy the Pink's got Samanga Kamala on board. And then you're going to the horses drawn poorly, 9, 10, 11, and 12. But sure, if they go a bit of a clip here, it looks like an open race and anything's possible. So I thought this was one of the most open races on the card. The 5th race, as I say, my each way place, Costa Esmeralda, but very, very open, the 5th race. Let's move on to race 6. I've got a bit tighter here. I liked 2 horses. I liked 3 Poitou Moi. Spoke to Nino this morning. His best bet on the card from his point of view was number 1, Fleeting. He thought Fleeting was the closest thing he could find to a banker. I said, well, I've certainly put it in, but I can't leave number 3, Poitou Moi, out, who gets 2 kilograms from her. And I think that makes her super competitive. So 1 Fleeting and 3 Poitou Moi, the first 2 for me. Number 8, Jasmine, isn't well drawn, but it's not the biggest of fields. Number 7, Academic Gold, by the way, is now out, and so too is Daughter of Zeus. So just to update that, because I see that's not updated here, but Daughter of Zeus is scratched and Academic Gold is scratched. So it's just a 7-horse field, and that means that Jasmine will now come into draw 5. So it looked like, draw 6. No? Yeah, draw 6. With 2 scratching. So yeah, it's not the world's biggest field. So I'm sure Jasmine will be able to deal with that, particularly as Keegan DeMela rides. Just looking if Keegan DeMela has ridden her before. Yes, once. It's not in the card, but he didn't fare very well on her. But he normally fares pretty well for Glenn Cotson. So I'm popping in Jasmine as well. Maria Corral, I can never know how to pronounce that. Number 5, eased a little bit in the market. I do prefer at the weights numbers 1 and 3, 3 and 1 in that race. Small field, they say small field, bigger the upset, but I'm going to stick with 3, 1 and 8 in that race. Let's move on to race 7. Well, here I mentioned to you before, I've always liked this horse, number 5, Trip of Fortune. He is back at the races. He's been gelded, and he goes to Durbanville for the 2nd time. He's won at Durbanville, which is always pleasing to see. Aldo rides him. He's his regular pilot. And, if you have a look at what he's done, he's beaten Barcelona. He's beaten Zapatalis at level weights. He's run behind Double Superlative in the Guineas, where he was doing his best work later. I think he didn't get the best of trips there from memory, got taken right up. Then he ran in the Queen's Plate behind Jet Dark, and then he ran a terrific race. I only liked 2 horses that day, Cosmic Highway and Trip of Fortune. They ran 1 or 2. And then a disappointing run last time, but he needed gelding. That was the point. And he has been gelded. He was gelded on the 12th of April. So pleased to see him back. He's obviously got a bigger fish to fry. I wouldn't have thought that he'll be 100% tuned up, but he's got class about him, and Trip of Fortune I think will probably show his class today, even though he might need the run. 1 Captain of Stealth, if Trip of Fortune isn't back at anywhere near his best, is the obvious horse. He's drawn 1, but he does have to shoulder 60.5 kilograms. He's won over this course and distance before, and Samanga Kamala knows him reasonably well because he rode him last time. So he's the natural danger, and obviously number 4 Warrior. But all of those horses haven't run for a while either, so they probably might need the run. Just a quiet mention for swingers, perhaps, for number 6 Hyde Park, who looks quite well in here actually, and likes the course and distance. I think Hyde Park might run okay for the Tottenham fans, for Ken and Jane Truter and partners. So that's my take on this race. Really looking forward to seeing Triple Fortune back at the track. Let's go to race 8 and have a look here. I think this is another swirl a bit race. Yeah, pretty open. I mean, look how they're betting. They're betting 9-2 the field. I like the 2 Crawford horses here. I like 4 Miss Greenlight, who sets a pretty good standard. She won last time. She's drawn okay at 4, and I think she'll run well. But the value for me is in the stable companion number 2, La Vida, who is not ridden by Louis and Quattro. But the reason for that, I'm not suggesting that Louis would have ridden it if he could have, but he can't, because La Vida was only going to carry 50 kilograms. So Louis and Quattro, I think he can ride 54, 54 and a half, but he certainly can't ride 50. So that's why Cabello rides. What a pickup ride, or what a replacement rider if you are a Louis Quattro fan, because you got Cabello Matsuyama riding at the top of his game. He had 1 ride yesterday, Joburg, boom, in the last. I flagged Cabello some time ago when I sat next to him at a Summer Cup draw, and was quick to tell everybody how impressed I was with the young man. He's come on leaps and bounds. He continues to impress me, and I think it's a nice ride for him. Race 8, number 2, La Vida. I also like the price. It's the bottom of the boards, La Vida. And I don't mind telling you it was 16 to 1 yesterday, and I've already backed it at 16 to 1. Both win and place. So I'm hoping for a good run from number 2, La Vida. It's not just because of the booking of Cabello. It's not just because of Brett Crawford. It's not just because it's drawn 2. If you go back to the other horse that I do like, number 4, Miss Greenlight. Miss Greenlight beat La Vida in the maidens and beat her comfortably by 2 1/4 lengths. However, La Vida is now 6 kilograms better off for that 2.25 length beating. So just purely on handicapping terms, that gives La Vida 3 3/4 lengths to spare. If you were to beat Miss Greenlight by 3 3/4, I'll be delighted, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. But clearly, when one is at 14 to 1 and the other one at 9 to 2, then the value lies for me in number 2, La Vida. So I'm hoping for a good race for the Brett Crawford yard there. If not, well, anything can win. Very open race. I see there's a touch of money for number 7, Little Miss Pink. Number 5, Le Follow Douche, is well related. She's been running in 89s and 92 fillies and mares handicaps. Must have a chance. But for me, as you've heard, I'm on the Crawford yard there. 4 and 2, with the value being number 2, La Vida. Let's move on for race 9. I take on the 9th race. Well, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that it's a big field of 14. Let's quickly bring you up to date with the scratchings, because again, they haven't yet been updated here. And I think there are at least one. There is one. Yeah, Power Grid is scratched, isn't he? The old man was a bit shin sore-ish or something I saw. But he'll be back. So you can take out number 8, Power Grid. He was 25 to 1 anyway. It wasn't the Without a Hope 25 to 1, but that's a moot point. He's out. The draw is going to be significant here. The form runner might well be number 13, Berenberg, but when you're drawn 13, he'll come into 12. That's not going to be easy. Likewise, 14, Superior Lead is actually drawn outside of him. So I'm going to focus in on some of the horses drawn a little bit closer to the fence, and starting with number 1, Heathcliff, who is still a maiden. Actually, there's a few horses here, interestingly enough, that are still maidens. There was another one I wrote here. Number 9, Captain Maurice, is still a maiden. So those are maidens running in 70 handicaps, but that's never worried me, because number 1, Heathcliff, is probably the only Captain Cliff's maiden from last year. He had all those 2-year-old winners. Wouldn't surprise me if he shed his maiden here in the merit rated 70 handicap. He's got only 55 and a half to shoulder. Keegan de Mela rides. He's drawn 1. And as I said, he's a Camford Cliffs. Number 2, Master of Africa, is quite a big price considering he's drawn 2, and I think he's better than his last run. You know, he was drawn 7 out of 7. I'm sure he's better than that. So in an open race, he's not the worst 14 to 1 shot I've ever seen. 3, On the Road again. Well, he was going to be my outright first choice, and perhaps he still will be. He's a Vercingetorix. He's been running in merit rated 80s, but to be frank with you, he's been a bit expensive to follow. He hasn't won now in 527 days. And he very well could win here. I mean, he's got Aldo on board and he's drawn okay. He's drawn 3. Last time he was drawn 10 out of 12 at Fairview, and he was doing some terrific low flying. But the truth is, he's been expensive to follow, and now you got to take 33 to 10. So I don't know how much value there is there. I'll certainly put him in the PA. I'll put him in my play, but I can't say he's great value. 2 horses who are slightly bigger in the betting market. 6, Mr. Frosty, comes in very well on my handicapping. He's only got 53.5 kilograms to carry. He's a lovely, almost white horse is Mr. Frosty, hence his name, I guess. I think he'll run well with Aussie Noach, who's second on him on the only time that he rode him. My value play in the race, well, I mentioned Heathcliff and Master of Africa, but my value in the race might well be number 7, Swift Action. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think Pete Puerta, for a relatively small yard, is an excellent conditioner. He gets results, looks after his horses, you can see it. And I like the booking of Muzieni here. Also like the fact that he's a 4-year-old in a red ray. He's drawn 7, which is okay, but I think he'll run okay. I'm ignoring the penultimate run behind Ragnar Lothbrok. I think he must have really needed that. But then a much improved run last time behind Benjamin. He finished right on top of them. So he's quite a big price at 12 to 1. And then you start getting into horses with form, but drawn poorly. As I mentioned, 9, Captain Maurice is still a maiden. He's drawn 9. Castle Time won well last time, but now he's got an 11 draw to overcome. Those are both Crawford runners. Birdie and Bogey has got a draw of 12 to overcome, and I've mentioned 13 and 14 already. So the last race, very tricky. Value for me would lie somewhere down in the Swift Action, Master of Africa, Heathcliff, Mr. Frosty area, although, as I say, on the road again, probably on form, but was to be with the 33 to 10, just a trifle skinny for me. Right, I think that's a wrap for us today. As I say, well done to the BB, the bounce factor. Lovely to see racing with big fields at Durbanville. Sure, I might get a tear in my eye, bring back the heady days, the halcyon days of going out to the Durbanville racetrack. Should be some big pools today, and support Cape Racing. It's a new dawn and great racing. There's some nice individuals running as well. From Neil and the team, lots to look on this platform for today. As I mentioned, there's a take a bet. I'll also be doing a soccershop.bet price booster. So lots of content. Have a good day's racing. Should be good.